Good morning and welcome to Walks with Moss. We're going on another fishing adventure. Today we're going to Big Fish Lake. So hopefully we'll catch some big fish. Come join us. We made it to parking. And it's actually quite a bit lighter than it normally is at the start of walking to this particular lake. But the thing is, it's so close to the solstice. The sun is rising so early in the morning that we still had to get up at 4:30 just to get here within 20 minutes of sunrise. And I just didn't feel like getting up any earlier than 4:30. So here we are. We're up good and early, but I still don't need a headlamp today. In the wintertime, I have to wear rubber boots for this hike because there's a river to cross. But today I expect that the river is going to be completely dry. So I'm just wearing my running shoes. And I'm about to find out if I did the right thing. Oh yeah, it's dry. No worries. We're going to have dry feet today and we don't need to wear boots. Normally I wade across this river up there. Not today, we're going straight through it and to the lake. Yay. Ideally, I'd be arriving at the fishing spot right now and the fish would start biting at their best in, say, about 10 minutes. But it's okay. I didn't want to get up at 3 in the morning. We've still got a little walking to do. I'm tired. I went to bed at, I don't know, maybe 10. But I figure I'll take a nap once I get back. I can't really sleep very well in bed, or at least I can't fall asleep very well. But if I sit down on my couch watching TV, I fall asleep every time. I don't know what that is. Maybe I need a TV in my bedroom so I can fall asleep. Anyway, let's do this. Here we are. I'm not seeing a lot of fresh litter here. That's good. Let's see if my log is still where I like it. Wow, the water is high for this time of year. That's surprising how high the water is. Let's sit down on my favorite log and get these lines ready to go in the water. I got both lines in record time. They were still set up from when we went to Little Fish Lake a few days ago. This one's got power dough and a spawn sack. It's a little bit dry and old, but I think it'll still be okay. And this one's got 3 power eggs. And I'm using egg sinkers on both of them, and I've got lots of slack on the lines so that if the fish bite, it should take a while for the fish to realize that they've been hooked, and that gives them plenty of time to swallow the bait. So fingers crossed. Let's see if we can catch some fish here today. This might be our last trout fishing trip for a while because tomorrow is supposed to start heating up. We're going to have temperatures in the 80s, and typically when it starts to warm up for the summer, that's the end of trout fishing. So we'll switch to bass next. My lines have only been in for 5 minutes. No bites yet. When we're done here today, actually, we'll try for some bass. I actually packed my bass fishing gear for a change. What do you think of that, Bella? What do you think of that, Bella? Gonna catch some bass today? This is the spot where Pogo went crazy bouncing up and down in the bushes. It was so hilarious. You gonna entertain us like Pogo? Probably not, but that's okay. We still love you. We've got a bite. We've got a bite on this line. And there's no slack left in it, so I think there's a fish on. I still feel like I should wait a minute or two, though, before I start reeling in. I think I see a ripple out there, too, like a fish that's... Yeah, I still got a bite. Okay, I'm going to set the hook. Oh, wow, wow, wow. My drag is so loose. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Woohoo! Yeah! And we're at Big Fish Lake today, so this might be a good one. Yeah. Here we go. Yeah, I know I'm playing it too fast. I'm playing it too fast. I can't help it. I'm excited. Oh, don't cross my other line. Don't cross my other line. Come on in. Come on. Oh, yeah, it's a nice one. Oh, yeah, look at that. Look at that. That's a nice one. Yeah. Very good. Very good. That's a nice one. All right. Good way to start the morning. We're off to a great start. Look at that. It's kind of small for this lake, but it's way bigger than anything I've caught recently going to all my small fish lakes. Let's get that line back in the water. Caught this one on power eggs. My 3 yellow power eggs right there. Let's get it back out there. Well, let's get the seaweed off it first, though. We are having a bit of a lull in the action here, but we've got some birds entertaining us. I think that's a kingfisher. Oh, one of them, the one in front, I think had something in its mouth. I know it doesn't show up too well on this camera. There's been some little fish jumping close to shore. I think they're baby bass. We will definitely try some bass fishing while we're here today. Bella's being kind of clingy and weird, and yeah, it's my shift in the petting mine, apparently. Those birds are fighting still. I can hear them in the distance. I like these bigger fish. They're going to be nicer in the smoker. When I smoke the little fish, it's hard not to dry them out too much. I'm ready to make a cup of coffee, but there's lots of bugs bugging me. So I think it would be really good to have some smoke right now to get rid of all these bugs. So I'm going to put some leaves over my cook pot to make some smoke. Get rid of all these darn bugs. As soon as the sun comes up here, we're going to switch to bass fishing. It's July 3rd, 2024. Definitely time to switch to bass. Sure, I'm glad to have this one trout here, and hopefully we get some more here in a bit. But I saw something swimming out there that looks suspiciously like a otter, and if that's the case, it might be a while before we get any more bites. I am very groggy and things are biting me. Hopefully this cup of coffee will help. It's kind of early in the day for my second cup of coffee, but you gotta do what you gotta do. So cheers. I think I'll reel in this line here that hasn't gotten a bite at all and put this fresh spawn sack on. I made up 5 or 6 of them at home the other day, and I think that's the way to go. The one that was on here was left over from last time. It was a little bit too small, a little bit too dried out. So let's get a better one on here. Okay, let's get this nice fresh power dough on here. See if that helps anything. Let's get this back out there in the lake. Got a good cast right out there in my favorite spot. Let's see if we can catch another fish. It's been another half hour or so and no more bites, but things are jumping near the shore. Just waiting for the sun to come up and hit the water if it's going to. Maybe it won't. When that happens, we will switch to bass. Sure would be nice to get a few more trout for the smoker though. I don't like to fire up the smoker for just one trout, but I will. Bella has been a little bit of a pest today. She finally settled down to go chew on a stick. But in my backpack, I found one of Pogo's liver treats. Something yummy for Bella. Here you go, Bella. You've never even had one of these before. What do you think of that? Liver. That's good stuff, huh? Yeah, she ate it. I kind of think she'd rather have fish. Let's see if she'll perform. Bella, sit. Hey, you smell that? Sit. Not gonna do it? Okay, well, I can't train you to not sit, so I guess that means I gotta put this away for a little bit. There's some little fish making ripples out there. I guess they could be panfish, but I really think they're bass. I don't think I've ever seen a panfish in here. In a bit, I'll put a Senko on and cast right over there. And who knows, I might catch a bass on the first cast. That's kind of how bass are. People have been sitting here and fishing. I just took some ibuprofen. Maybe I'll feel a little bit better. My stepmother is back in the hospital and I'm kind of worried that's not helping me sleep. Hopefully she gets out today though. Okay, let's try this again. Bella, sit. Bella, sit. Good dog. I wish you'd done it the first time I told you, but I guess that'll work. Still have not managed to teach Bella to catch food. Maybe someday she'll get it, but she's just kind of too scared of everything that gets thrown to her. I've never had a dog that I couldn't teach how to catch food. It's almost 8 o'clock and we've only got the one trout. So I'm going to rig up a Senko and see if I can catch some bass. I've got really light gear here, which is fine because I don't expect to catch a big bass. I expect it's just going to be the usual baby bass in this lake. Normally I would tie a Palomar knot, but I'm feeling lazy this morning. And I've already got my Senko on here, which makes it a little bit trickier to tie a Palomar knot. So I'll just go with the normal fishing knot. Here we go, got my Senko and my offset hook. I've got a little spot over here where sometimes I'll catch a bass on the first bite, but I've got to keep Bella out of it. Can't have her in there scaring them all away. So here we go, first cast of the bass season. That Senko out here. See if I can remember how to do this. I didn't cast it exactly where I wanted to. There's a log right there I like to cast against. Gosh, it's been a while since I fished for bass. Well, I think I had a little bite, but it might have also been a snag. Let's see if I can get this cast exactly where I want it, right next to that log. There, I almost always get a bite on my first cast next to that log. See, when the weather gets warm, the trout quit biting, but the bass start biting. Come on, bass. We're right on the shoulder of the season for both. I've still got one line in to try to catch a trout. Well, bass fishing isn't going that great. I'm using the Senko, which bass tend to like real well. I guess I could switch to my creature bait. But maybe it's still just a little bit cold for bass. I don't think I've ever not caught at least one bass in this spot. Maybe it's just not my day, except for we are still going home with a nice trout. Well, I think I caught some seaweed. Nope, not even seaweed. Yeah, the bass don't seem to be biting. And I don't really feel like hiking out of here just yet, so I think I'll just rig this rod back up for trout and then just sit down and maybe take a nap. I don't know. I'm not even seeing any little bass following my Senko around. It's overcast though, which makes me think the trout fishing should be good. I'm going to try a creature bait for just a couple of casts. Last year I found sometimes when the bass didn't go for the Senko, they went for the creature bait. So let's see what happens. Okay, I guess there just aren't any bass in here today. There's plenty of otter though, I think, and lots of birds that are fishing too. No bass, and only one trout. Yep. I need to get a bell to put on the end of my line so when I'm not feeling well I can just sit up on the bank and take a nap until something bites. I've got both of my lines rigged up for trout again, but now there's some wind kicking up. And I have never caught a trout here when the wind is blowing. So probably just gonna pack up and go home now. The ravens have arrived. They seem to have a way of knowing when I'm about to leave. I guess I'll clean my fish here so the ravens can have something to eat. Hello. Yeah, you always know when I'm packing up, don't you? Okay, I'll clean my fish here and leave you two a little treat. Okay, ravens, this is for you. Putting this up in the tree to keep Bella out of it. Well, let's see, I did anyway. All right, stay in the tree. Fish heads, roly-poly fish heads. Fish heads, fish heads. Eat them up, yum. There, hopefully Bella will stay out of that now. I've already filleted these, but now I want to get these little rib bones out. Then I won't have to do any cleaning at all when I get home. Of course, if I did this at home, I'd do a lot neater job than I do here on a log. Yeah, definitely not the best job I've ever done. I like to cut out this little part right here. Then I'll take this down to the lake and rinse it off, but after I've taken the rib bones out of the other half too. I'm giving these a quick rinse in the lake now, and then I'll bag them up and take them home and then rinse them off again under the tap. This isn't really enough to fire up my smoker for. Maybe I'll just eat these fresh. That'd make a nice dinner. One for me, one for Bella. The ravens are still up there. They seem to be getting closer to where I left the fish head. Some bass fishermen headed straight over here, and sometimes they just fish right 10 feet from where I stand. Oh, and here comes a water skier too. Yeah, it's definitely time to get out of here. Time to get out before it gets noisy and obnoxious here. But one last thing to do before we leave. We need to eat some of these huckleberries. This bush is just loaded with red huckleberries. These red huckleberries are endemic to northern Oregon and to Washington State. You won't find these red huckleberries anywhere other than northern Oregon, very northern Oregon, and Washington State. This is our endemic huckleberry. Sadly, they're quite sour, but still, it's always a little bit of a fun thing to find them. There's some more red huckleberries there. And the bass fishermen are coming straight for us. Let's get out of here. We were quite lucky to get this much peace and solitude on July 3rd. And we got one fish. So not too bad of a day, I guess. I'm feeling a bit under the weather though. I'm going to go home and take a COVID test. All I did yesterday was sleep. There's a tiger lily. And I'm just not feeling too hot today either. Wow. Look at all those huckleberries though. It's a shame they don't taste better. Well, fishing wasn't that great, so let's see if we can find something interesting to look at on our walk back to the car. Looks like Bella's found something. Got a nice western red cedar here. They like to grow near the water too. And these bigger trees are all Douglas fir, Pseudotsuga menziesii. Looky here, look at the size of these. Oh my goodness. I am definitely going to pick some of these. This is as big as these huckleberries get. I just wish they were sweet, but I like them anyway. It's always a special treat to find some of these. I don't know the scientific name. They're just red huckleberries. When they're ripe, they're red. They might make good fish bait, who knows? They look just like fish eggs, don't they? These ones are actually pretty good. They're big and they've got just a little bit of sweetness to them. So I might be a bit delayed in getting back to the car. I'm going to be chowing down on these. Yay. Yeah, there's some nice huckleberries there. The predominant ground cover right here in this area is salal. And it makes blueberries that you can't eat. They're not very tasty. And they're hard to pick because the stems tend to stay on them. But it's everywhere. Apparently the indigenous people ate them. We've also got Oregon grape. And this makes a really, really, really sour purple berry later in the season. Do not recommend eating those. They are so sour. Here's our native sword fern. Don't know the scientific name. And this is a vine maple tree. It never gets very big. This, I think, is an osoberry. Here's a bracken fern. Some people like to eat the shoots of these when they're young. I don't think they taste that great, and they're supposed to be mildly carcinogenic, so yeah, I don't really care about them. What else have we got here? It's just some nice Douglas fir here because this area has only been logged one time. See, there's an old growth stump. The old growth trees must have been huge here, as big as these second growth trees are. Wow, I am just impressed with the number of red huckleberries here. So many. It'd take a long time to pick enough of those to make a pie or anything. What you doing, Bella? Here's some more really luscious red huckleberries. When they're this big, they're actually not too bad. Few more huckleberries before we hit the barren part of this hike. Here's a little hemlock tree. You can tell hemlock trees because their terminal buds bend over. Even when they're full grown, if you look up at the top of them, you can see that. Now here, I think, is a grand fir. It's not a Douglas fir, and it's not a hemlock. I don't think it's a yew. These purple flowers here have a common name of foxglove. The scientific name is digitalis. And the medicine digoxin is based on chemicals in this plant. Digoxin is, of course, synthetic, but this was used as heart medication at some point in time. Digitalis. I don't recommend just eating it, though, because it's poison. This area always looks like it would be a good place to find chanterelles, but I've looked here many times and I've never found a chanterelle in this area. I don't know why. I need to do some summer chanterelle hunting, and apparently the best way to find a summer chanterelle is to go where you find fall chanterelles. And I only have a couple of places in mind, and I'm too tired to go to either of those. But next month, or maybe later this month actually, because this month has just started. Later this month, I'll take you all summer chanterelle hunting, and we'll see if we have some luck getting chanterelles in the summer. I think that would be really cool. That's all I've got for today, though. Hope you enjoyed watching me catch one fish anyway, and having a little walk in the woods and seeing some ravens. So please comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.